Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
The Saratoga City Council meeting, an inside look at the decisions that affect you and our community.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to City Council meeting November 17th, 2020. Tonight's meeting was moved to Zoom as City Hall offices are currently closed due to the occurrence of COVID. The building was closed yesterday to have a thorough cleaning and allow employees time to monitor for symptoms. Employees who physically work in City Hall are working remotely at this time. This closure has not affected police, fire, or outdoor public works workforce. I believe Commissioner Scirocco will be providing us an update later on his agenda. Tonight we have 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is the 2021 proposed comprehensive budget. Commissioner Madigan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second public hearing for the 2021 city budget. I will be closing this public hearing this evening. Thank you.
Anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing?
So raise your hands.
Can you raise your hand if you're
digitally?
Yeah, digitally. There's a button that you could push if you want to speak on this.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
If I could comment. Yeah.
Yes, sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Scirocco.
I mean, if it's okay with the council, I'd like to keep this public hearing open. I would, I got some ideas. I want to sit down and meet with the finance commissioner in regards to the comprehensive budget. And if we close this public hearing, that means we can't, we won't be able to do anything. Won't be able to do anything with it. But I would like, if it's okay with the council and with the commissioner of finance, I'd like to keep this public hearing.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that. If we're going to keep it open, then I have more words to say on the public record about the public hearing being open. Because this public hearing is in regards to the 2021 proposed comprehensive budget. Since last April, I've provided facts, figures, national, state, regional news, revised city trends that culminated in a very difficult 2021 comprehensive budget. I've held 4 budget workshops at which many concerns, challenges, and complaints were registered with few solutions and even fewer facts supporting solutions. No budget change requests have been produced. The only department that subsequently has really approached me is the Recreation Department. Having the votes to pass an annual budget that allows your departments to operate as usual will not abate the inevitable, eventual, and longer lasting damage that will cause. My objections to, I don't know what it is. You haven't told the public why you would like to keep this public hearing open, but an amended budget that has been compiled, that you have compiled and have submitted to me is not our best example of good stewardship. And it does fly in the face of solid data, solid communications with experts that I've talked to, New York State representatives, state guidance, and we can't pay our employees with hopes and uncertainty. So that's what your projected amended budget revenue figures are. So, and I don't think anyone doing business with the city would accept such payment either. So I'm not going to be holding any further budget workshops. I've expressed my continual availability to discuss real solutions with anyone, and have stated repeatedly since the budget message on October 6th and the 2021 comprehensive budget was presented. It can be amended at any time. Revenue seems, especially if revenue starts to improve. And as such, I would like to close the public hearing tonight. And I am prepared to see the comprehensive budget become the city budget by default.
Like I said, Commissioner, I know you talk to everybody. Obviously, I think you need to spend more time talking with some of the other departments to listen to some of their concerns. Again, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I have some concerns with the comprehensive budget. I know I proposed some ideas to you when we had the budget workshop, and apparently, we haven't had time to sit down and discuss that. So we do still have time. We still have time to do what we need to do as far as,
His last name? Thomas? No,
Somebody-
Harrison. What's Harrison's last name?
Lisa, somebody's cutting in.
Yeah, somebody's in there. Again, I would just like to ask the council if they're in favor of keeping this city, keeping the public hearing open. I think it's important that, we sit down and we discuss this with the finance commissioner, our concerns. And again, we have plenty of time to do what we need to do. We got till the 30th, and I think we can make some pretty good changes. So I don't know if anybody else has any input on that.
Commissioner Dalton, do you have anything?
I would be in favor of keeping it open at least until we decide. We meet with the finance commissioner if in fact she wants to meet with us. I know we've asked on a couple occasions, and I know she's talked with everybody. The problem is you need to talk to the city council, and this is our budget too.
Thomas.
Yeah. So Commissioner Frank or Dalton, anything to say here on whether keeping this open?
I just think that this is, the most important thing we are going to be agreeing on this year. It's going to impact next year dramatically. And so I think if we can give ourselves the opportunity to work together towards the best budget possible, I don't know why we wouldn't do that. And if we still have time to work together, I think we should, give it our best shot.
This is not a vote. This is a public hearing. The public hearing I opened on the comprehensive budget. If you are choosing to submit an alternative budget, I would strongly suggest that you set your own public hearing, because that's not what we have right now. We have a public hearing on the comprehensive budget. I have fulfilled the charter duties of holding 2 public hearings, and I am prepared to close this public hearing. You can add an item to your agenda tonight and add your own public hearing, but I have nothing more to add. At this point in time, I'm prepared to close the public hearing that I set. This is the second one, according to the charter. I've met all the technical details that I need to meet. I discussed this with legal today, and the recommendation is that I should close the public hearing. You can open another public hearing.
You said you did with legal?
So
Yes.
Vince, is Vince on the line here?
Yeah.
Vince DeLeonardis, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here, Mayor.
Okay, so can we keep this open or no? Does it have to close because it's Commissioner Madigan's public hearing?
So
I don't know.
a public hearing is requested by any one particular commissioner, but it's called, it's set, it's held by and on behalf of the city council. So if a majority of the council does choose to keep this public hearing open, it will remain open.
Okay, so.
So I would be in favor of keeping it open.
Okay,
Me too.
okay. Commissioner Frank?
Yeah, I have no issues with keeping it open till we vote on the budget.
Okay, then it looks like we have 3 votes and we could keep it open. So We'll move on from this, unless you have anything else, Commissioner Madigan?
I just think if you're proposing a new budget, you need to set a public hearing for that budget. This public hearing is for the comprehensive budget. That's all.
Okay.
And that was the advice I was given today from Tony, who I discussed this with, who Lynn, the budget director, discussed this with.
Okay.
So
All right.
But I mean, you can keep it open. There's not another council meeting
Right.
between now and November 30th scheduled, so you can keep it open. And I don't usually have public hearings on budget workshops, but go ahead, keep it open.
if I could, Mayor.
Yes, please.
So the public hearing was set with regard to the 2021 comprehensive budget, but there are opportunities for amendments to that budget subsequent to the closing of the public hearing. So if council elects to keep the public hearing open, that's something that they're arguably entitled to do, and that wouldn't preclude any amendments from occurring to the initial budget prior to its adoption.
Okay, any other comments?
Excuse me, Mayor, we do have somebody that wants to speak for the public hearing
Okay, great.
when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So it's Sam Brewer.
Okay, you're on, Sam. Please state
Okay.
your name and address. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Council. My name's Sam Brewer. I reside in Saratoga Springs. I'd like to thank you for holding the Zoom meeting this evening. It's from a health perspective, it helps a lot of people out who want to interface with the council in a different venue without exposing themselves to risk. I have, if it's okay with the council, I'd like to speak at public comment during the normal meeting as well, but I have two items that are directly related to the budget. And if I might make a couple of suggestions. I went ahead and read the governor's first executive order in its entirety after COVID struck New York State. It's Executive Order 202. And in it, he specifies and references Section 29A, Article 2B of the New York State Constitution and New York State law. And he makes a statement that all laws, local laws, can be suspended that hinder the disaster response. And I believe that this language is carried forward in subsequent executive orders. But I would highly suggest the city convene an emergency revenue board with the authority cited as Executive Order 202 and its subsequent executive orders, and start to tax things that are easy to tax. I think the city is going to need to raise its own revenue, and I don't know that you can rely on a federal bailout in the next couple of months or even in the next 6 months. So that's one item that I think that you should address. The second item is directed to Commissioner Madigan, and it's not a criticism. I think that when you're stating to the public what the budget or the projected budget is going to be for 2021, I think it's important that you back out the expected RAN or TAN of $6 million. Because it artificially shows the city's financial position as being better than it actually is. So I would recommend that as you interface with the public and elected officials, that you kind of tell it like it is, which is it's a $12 million budget shortfall this year and next year. And then I have a couple of items for public safety and even public works. You may be able to take a survey of the large number of employees that you have to see which of those employees are reservists and guardsmen. And you may make a suggestion to them, and you may contact the governor's office to see if they can be put on state or federal orders for the duration of the emergency. And you may find that the governor has the authority to designate the city as their place of duty. So you'd be able to, in effect, take those folks off your payroll on a military leave, and they may even be able to be used in the city, in their normal capacity at the city. And for every person that goes on military orders, that's a position that you can save, and you can allocate the funding to somebody who does not have an alternate mechanism to get paid. And then I'm going to reserve the rest of my comments that aren't directly directed to the budget for the public comment period in the normal city council meeting. And I, of course, can answer any questions that you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public hearing?
I don't see any other hands.
Okay, then we'll move on to the second public hearing which is to amend Chapter 225, Section 225-77, stop intersection. Commissioner Dalton. Did you hear me?
Muted.
Okay. Can you hear me? So this is your public hearing. Do you have anything to say?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
No, we don't. Public hearing's open. Do we have
Okay.
any comments?
So if anybody has any comments, please raise your hand virtually, and we'll get you in for these comments on amending Chapter 225, Section 225-77, stop intersection.
I would like to comment.
Okay. Can you state your name and address, please?
Yep, it's Jennifer Alexander, and I live on Moore Ave in Saratoga Springs. We had asked for the stop sign 2 years ago. Buff Road has become increasingly more of a residential area, high traffic, and our kids' bus stops were at the end of Buff and Moore Road, and it was very, very difficult. Visibility issues for cars to see them or them to see cars coming. I did submit some pictures if you guys want to look at it so you can see the layout of the land. But it was denied because there was, I guess they did a survey and they felt that speed wasn't a condition, and cars do make turns. There's crossroads. So I don't know if what was the average of the speed, but our dog, I'm going to try not to cry, got killed in May. It was the first really nice day outside and everybody was out, and one of the little kids in the neighborhood came in our backyard and our dog got out, and about 8 children saw our dog get killed on Buff Road, and the car was going so fast that their entire front bumper came off. So, you know, it was obviously devastating for us. And I don't want to say lucky, but we're lucky it wasn't a child. And this is just, it's, you know, it's a crossroad. People go really fast, and there's just a huge visibility issue. And some of it is brush, but the majority of the visibility issue is a hill, and you can't shave off a hill. So we would really like a stop sign, and I think it would be most helpful if there was something before that hill that said that there was a stop sign coming to have traffic slow down, maybe even a crosswalk, because there's sidewalk on one side of the road, but not on the other. So if you want to walk safely on a sidewalk, you actually have to cross the road where there's limited visibility. So it's difficult to be safe one way or the other.
Thank you, and I'm really sorry about your dog. It's tragic. Yeah, but I know Commissioner Madigan, you live out that way, and that stretch is not. It's people speed. It's a cutoff road.
It's very fast, and there's a lot more development, and so I'm really pleased that we've set the public hearing to put a stop sign here. It is needed. There's a lot more children since I moved in here, into young children, and it's really sad that what happened to this dog, and it happened in front of a lot of kids. So I'm also very appreciative of the stop sign coming to Buff Road.
Yep.
Well, I will look into putting some kind of sign maybe before that to slow people down and let them know that there's stop sign coming up. So I'll see if there's anything more we can do to get the traffic slowed down, but happy we could make this happen.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Lisa Shields in the waiting room?
Yes, Catherine?
Yes, hi, I'm Catherine Thomas. I also live on Moore Avenue. And I was actually the one 2 years ago to get the study, the speed study done on Buff Road. So I'm very pleased that it sounds like we are going to get the stop sign. Just to comment off of what Jen said, the average speed that the speed study showed was between 25 and 30 miles an hour, which is within the legal limit. However, it did not account for cars that live on the street that were slowing down anyways to turn. So I believe that the results are skewed, that you can't get an accurate assessment from the people coming out of the Navy housing and the people that use Buff Road as a cut through from Route 29 to 9N. The other cut through is Kirby Avenue, and there is a stop sign there, so it significantly slows traffic down on Kirby, so people use Buff Road as a cut through. And I haven't met anyone in our neighborhood who is against this. We have the whole neighborhood behind this stop sign installation. So we would really love to see our tax dollars hard at work by putting in 2 more stop signs.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Joshua?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Hi, I live in Quiet Harbor near Buff Road, and I just wanted to comment that I agree. I think like there needs to be more stop signs or speed bumps or something. A couple of months ago, I didn't almost hit a kid, but if it was someone else, could have definitely hit a kid. I had a girl pull in front of me on a bike with headphones in, didn't even see my car. So yeah, I think a lot of people go through there fast. I mean, I think even, I don't know how the laws work regarding speed limits, but even 30, I think is a little fast on that road with the amount of kids and animals and things. And I think there's a lot of people in my development or in my apartments around my age that don't think of kids because they don't have them too. So I think anything like that would be a big help.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else, Lisa?
Yes. Sorry. Michelle?
Hi. I just want to second what Kathy.
Could you please state your name for the record, please?
Sure. Michelle Wolf. I live on Woodbridge Court in Saratoga Springs.
Thank you.
I want to second what Jen and Kathy and Joshua have been speaking to. The blindness on that hill comes direct into the bus stop. The children wait there in the morning, they get off in the afternoon. And there's a further issue of cars parked on Buff Road just past Westbury Avenue. They've been parked there for the better part of 3 months. I believe they were parked on Westbury and they were getting ticketed. So they moved to Buff Road. This is causing a second issue for the neighborhood.
I submitted pictures of that also I submitted pictures that Michelle is talking about to the city council because it does go, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to let you know that those were sent because it does go to what she's talking about.
Okay, thank you.
I have it.
And we did receive the photos. Thank you. Anybody else, Lisa? Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
No, that's all right. I just wanted to be sure that the issue was brought up, that there are parked cars at a bus stop at the bottom of a hill in an already difficult area of Buff Road for the neighborhood. So I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Sarah, is that who you said?
Yes, Sarah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes, I just moved.
Could you state your name and address for the record?
Sorry. My name is Sarah Nucera, and my address is 7 Mijas Trail. We recently built a new construction home right off of Buff Road. And when we moved in here, we were aware that the speed limit was 30 miles an hour, and that was from where our old neighborhood was only 5 miles more. And we were very comfortable with that. But honestly, cars just go crazy down this road, where I wouldn't be surprised if it was 40, 50. And the fact that we don't have the sidewalks on both sides presents another problem because, people will be out running, walking dogs, kids are riding bikes. It's not only for cars. I mean, there's a lot more going on Buff Road, and it's great, that we're all out and this is a fantastic neighborhood. But I'm really fearful for the safety of our kids. And unfortunately, I was washing dishes at my kitchen sink when Jennifer's dog got hit. I saw the whole thing. So it is, that was definitely a wake up call. I think that's really what's got this ball rolling again. And I'm really happy to get the stop sign. I think we can actually do more. I did submit a question to find out what other things has the city done in the past to calm traffic, to calm speed on roads like this. I think we'd be open to any other suggestions that the city can offer. And we would be in full support of that as well, in addition to the stop sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And Commissioner Dalton, I want to thank you for putting this out there. I think it's needed. So any comments?
Yeah, I'd
There's
love to
still
let
a
those
couple
residents
more.
know that.
Sorry, Mayor.
sorry.
There's still. I'm
Hold
sorry,
on.
Mayor. There's still a couple more people that want to speak.
Hold on, Commissioner. Go ahead, Lisa Shields.
Fred.
Hello, Fred, you're on. Can you state your name and address?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you state your name and address, please?
Oh, yeah. It's Fred, Karen Whipple. We live at 11 Moore Avenue. Been here almost 20 years now on this street. Lived here our whole lives. But I would pledge our support for this stop sign and a crosswalk. And I totally agree with everybody else is saying. I mean, this is to me, I go down this road quite often. And when you look left, when you get to the end of Moore Avenue, you can barely see. And if there's a car coming, there's just a little bend there. And now the cars are parked on that side of the road. And then to the right, like that little hill there. And, Kirby Road has had a stop sign for years. And now with the development on Buff Road, we really need a stop sign on the other end of Moore Avenue.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yep. That's all I need to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty.
One more, Chelsea.
Chelsea, you're on. Can you state your name and address?
Yep, my name is Chelsea Cangelari. I live at 3 Evergreen Drive. I'm also just off of Buff Road. My house is 2 houses in from Buff Road. I have 2 small children, and my father lives on Westbury, which is right at the intersection of Moore, where we're talking about. And my children frequently walk or ride their bikes, and we walk there or ride our bikes as a family. I definitely agree with having a stop sign there. I think the neighborhood has changed tremendously in the 7 years that I've moved in. It used to be a completely wooded area, but now there's many houses that have gone up. It definitely is a lot more kids, a lot more pets, people traveling that street. My children cross that road on their bikes, and my son's grandmother watched him almost get hit by a car when he was crossing the road on his bike, because cars do go fast. And just like Sarah said, I also would not be surprised if some of them go 40, 50 miles an hour. I stand on Buff Road waiting for my kids to get off at the bus, and another mom and I just today, 2 cars flew by, and we both were waving our hands thinking that car is going way faster than 30 miles an hour. And I see it even at the end of Evergreen Drive. Even when they're coming down to the end of Buff Road, are still flying down. I definitely agree with even considering adding a crosswalk. I think that would be much needed, because kids are going back and forth between the Evergreen Drive neighborhood and the Westbury neighborhood to play, to visit family. It's just not safe for them to cross. So if we could consider that in addition, I would fully support that too, but definitely at minimum a stop sign.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Okay, and Anne?
Anne, you're on. Could you state your name and address, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Ann Denoska. I live on Emerald Lane in District 19, and just want to add my thanks to the council and to Commissioners Madigan and Dalton for bringing this to the agenda and to support the stop sign. There's such a packed agenda for the public safety community, and I'm grateful for seeing this on the agenda and for being able to bring the community together in this way. This is a strong district, a strong neighborhood, very active community. I've been here for 15 years, as I've mentioned, and this community really wants to partner with the city in various ways to support the safety of our neighborhood. So thank you for adding this to the agenda and for giving it considerable thought.
Thank you, Anne. Anyone else?
No, there's no one else that's raising their hand or chatting with me. So I think.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Dalton if you want to say a few words.
Oh, hang on. She's muted.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I know. I apologize. I got to find her. Okay.
There you go, Robin. Yep.
I just want to say I really appreciate the neighborhood coming out and speaking on this issue. I mean, there's nothing I like more when a neighborhood is, active and wants to work with the city and reaches out, and we can collaborate and make sure, kids and families are safe. And certainly we see these issues a lot in Saratoga where, different neighborhoods develop rapidly and the traffic needs change. And, we do have a lot going on, but that doesn't mean that we're going to overlook, things like this. They're all equally important in the scheme of things. So I'm really glad we were able to do this. Thank you, Commissioner Madigan. And I appreciate the whole, everyone who came tonight from the neighborhood speaking out. I really appreciate it and look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we will be closing this and voting on it tonight. Correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on from there, roll call, please. I need Lisa Rebus.
Yeah. I've got a Lisa.
Roll call, please.
She's got to unmute.
There it goes. Commissioner Frank.
Present.
Commissioner Madigan.
Present.
Commissioner Scirocco.
Here.
Commissioner Dalton.
Present.
Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Supervisor Beach.
Here.
Supervisor Gaston.
Here.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, at liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the public comment period. I ask that you keep your comments brief, up to 2 minutes. There will be a bell to signify, well, there won't be a bell, it will be me signaling you that your 2 minutes are up. Public comment will continue for 15 minutes or until everyone has had one opportunity to address the council in that 15 minutes. Please be respectful to the speakers while addressing the council and address the council as a whole. As a reminder, public comment is not a dialogue or discussion with the council members. However, at the end of public comment, any council member may respond or comment. Anyone who wishes to address the council upon any issue may now come forward, state your name and address, and provide your comments. We are open, Lisa, so you could start sending people in.
Sam?
Did you say Ann?
Sam.
Ann, can you state your name and address
No,
for the...
sorry, it's Sam Brewer.
Oh, Sam. Sam, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Council. I'm attempting to start the video. Were you able to see me before?
I could hear you, so I can't see you. I don't have everybody on my screen. There's too many participants. So.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
All right, you can see and hear me. That's fine. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Sam Brewer. I live in the city limits of Saratoga Springs. I wanted to speak with you for a few moments this evening about enforcement technique of the mob scene that seems to be continuing as a continuation of what's been going on in the summer, the protest activity. I've been out numerous times and accidentally have happened upon these protesters. And for the most part, I've seen them confined in the park. I've seen them on sidewalks, and I've seen them shut down streets on multiple occasions. I consulted General Municipal Law, Section 71, which states the city is liable for any mob economic damages if it fails to restrain a mob. And shutting down thoroughfares is a form of economic warfare. There were, large tractor trailers that were not, that were stuck on Broadway for an extended period of time. The business owners are very upset about this. And as a general rule, there's a couple of different ways you can break the law. You can break the law by, congregating during a public emergency, and you can wear masks, and you're probably not going to hurt anybody other than yourself. And then there's the type of breaking of the law that affects materially the rights of others. So I'd like to see the city record what's being done and then issue arrest warrants for the leaders of this organization until the behavior stops. I mean, just give them a violation or a misdemeanor and make them go before a judge. I mean, I'm wondering why this hasn't been done yet. It's been going on for 6 months now. And I'd like some answers from the Commissioner of Public Safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joshua?
Joshua, please state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Daly. I live in Quiet Harbor near off of Buff Road. I just wanted to comment in the same idea of what Sam was saying, but I don't think arresting people in this situation would help. I think that'd be terrible. I think also it could set a bad precedent for other protests that come along that are peaceful. I think with the change in political climate, you might see some of that stuff calm down a bit. I don't think they should shut down businesses, but I think if we go around arresting protesters, it'll have the opposite effect that Sam's talking about. More people will come out. It'll give them something to share around Facebook, and then it'll make Saratoga a bigger target than it already is in the capital region, because it seems like the groups that are coming here are kind of splitting their efforts among other areas. So I think, maybe some citations make sense, but I don't think that anyone should be arrested for protesting, at least in the near future.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to comment? You can raise your hand. I don't see.
Is there anybody else waiting? What are they could watch by live stream. So
they're here. They're just not raising their hand. So, or chatting with me. Doesn't seem like anybody else is waiting to comment. So, I mean, if that's the case, when we end public comment, they can leave and watch on live stream, or they can stay in the meeting, whatever you want.
Is it okay? So at this time, if there's nobody else that has any comments, we will close the public comment period. If you are on the Zoom call, you could sign off and watch this on the live streaming button on our website. So moving on to our consent agenda. I move that the City Council approve the consent agenda as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. On to the mayor's department. My first item is an announcement. Kathleen O'Connor is reappointed to the zoning board.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So I think we forgot our presentation
Okay.
before the consent agenda.
I'm so sorry. We'll back up and we'll go to our presentation, and I'll turn it over to Lois Celeste if she's in the house.
She is. She's
Lois,
unmuting and
okay.
Yeah, she's coming. Here she
Okay. Can you hear me, Lois? She's not unmuted yet.
Right. There she
There you
goes.
go. Can you hear me?
I can hear everything.
Okay, let me introduce Lois Celeste from the Senior Center. She's the Executive Director, and she'll be giving us a presentation all about the Senior Center. So you're on, Lois.
All right. Thank you very much. And Lisa, I think you're going to help me out with the slideshow.
Yes, I am.
So I just
can you see it now?
I can. Thanks so much.
All right. Yeah.
So I want to thank the council for having us, having me as a representative of the Senior Center. We've been a great partnership together. I've been here 10 plus years, and certainly there's been a history of collaboration with the city for at least since the 70s that I'm aware of. So I'd also like to thank my many seniors who I know have emailed a lot of you as I've been copied on it, and have made some calls in support of the Senior Center. So we can go to 2, Lisa. Tonight, I just wanted to come before you and talk to you about what we're doing, who we are, make sure everyone is aware that we have been an essential service and have been very busy throughout the whole year. Talk about the proposed budget and some growth of seniors. So if we can go to slide 3, I'm going to jump right in. So, I can really personally speak. I'm going into my 11th year at the Senior Center, and we did another presentation for the city back in 2016 and used a chart a little bit like this, and it's just kind of expanded. In 2010, when I took over this agency, it was pretty much defunct, if you will. We were really struggling with a budget, and we had 300 members. There were maybe 30 people a day that came into the center, and it was a pretty basic senior center at that time. By 2015, one of my initial reactions when I first started was, boy, do we need an advocate and some help with some of these seniors. But, we sat tight, we did our programs, we grew the agency, we worked with Skip on, getting the building back together. And, by 2015, you could see the jump in membership from 300 to 1,200 members, and from 30 people a day up to well over 100 people a day. And that was the point that we started adding our support services. By 2017, we had approached the city about increasing support and funding for the senior center. When I started in 2010, I talked to Scott Johnson at the time and really just asked the city to hold us harmless at that point. And we were receiving funding in the amount of $84,375. At that point, that was about 65% of the senior center total overall budget. By 2017, when we approached the city, there was an increase of funding to us to $104,375, and we were greatly, greatly appreciative. By 2019, we're up to 1,400. We're seeing about 150 people a day. We added transportation services. We added food services. Whenever there was a gap, we tried to fill it. We never wanted to duplicate services, but if there was something we couldn't do, we worked hard for growth, for expansion, for innovation on programs, and tried to become a one-stop shop. So in senior served, I'm just going to do a little comparison data. By 2019, we were out of space. I know we were working with the city and the community on a collaboration of helping the seniors get more space, potentially working with other not-for-profits with our building and the city, and discussions were in full swing. Nobody really saw COVID coming, obviously. But in 2019, the senior center served 1,520 city residents at the senior center. And we did 28,000 units of service to them. So that's a lot of people coming in the door and seeking out services from the senior center, and they come in regularly. We became a resource for them. In 2020, even with the COVID and all the restrictions, and this data is only through the end of September, we've served 1,768 city residents, seniors, and just this year. So what we're doing is significant. The seniors do rely on us. And if Lisa, if we can go to the next slide. Thanks. I kind of wanted to do another little comparison. There's a lot on this screen, and what really happened in 2020 is like everybody else, we all jumped in January, February, we hit March, and COVID hit. And we were used to providing the arts and the games and the groups and the exercises and the tech assistance and special events and trips and foods and dinners and that kind of thing. But what you'll see, if you look at this, in orange is your 2019 and blue is your 2020. Really, the front half of that graph is all of our support services. We really pivoted instantly and had to jump in with a lot of support services. And we're a little unique to senior centers in that we do offer support services, not just activities and programs. So a little bit about 2020, we have been essential service from minute one, and we've been operating since minute one. In March, we functioned for about 3 weeks remotely, and we instantly jumped in and called every senior we had any kind of phone number for, any contact information, and to do check-ins. And we started right away sharing volunteers with EOC to get food to seniors. We were doing grocery shopping to seniors, all of that. By April, we had taught quite a few seniors to use Zoom, which all of you are figuring it out for this, and we all had to figure it out. Imagine being 80 years old and trying to figure out Zoom when you don't even have internet or computers. So we did a lot of technology assistance. And by May, we started reintroducing our regional food bank program because we knew that food was such a huge issue for our seniors. Were our highest risk population in this, and they still continue to be. And, not going to grocery stores, being afraid to leave, doing any of that was a big deal. So we were able to jump in and do that. By July, we were able to open the front doors again. We actually did a lot of outside programming, and we rented a tent and had music on the back lawn, socially distanced. We had some folks inside, but following protocols. We have continued. We've used our staffing. We've got probably about 150 very, very active volunteers. I had 5 Skidmore students working remotely over the summer to pull off everything we did. And, as this chart shows, it kind of pivoted more from programs to services. But when you look at how many we've served through September more than we did in all of 2019. We just finished our audit for 2019, and we are 92% programmatic, 8% administrative. That speaks volumes to what we do every day. So I think, Lisa, we're going to go to the next slide. So I want to kind of jump over to, we've been busy, there's no doubt, and many of you are aware of that. I want to talk a little bit about the history with the city and the funding. I know 2021 is a tough year. It's across the board. Everybody, is fighting for dollars that, we're all hurting and doesn't exist. The Commissioner Madigan presented her budget early on, and we saw, and I was kind of told, okay, it's going to be ugly at first. Let's work through it. Let's see what the council does. And, obviously people care about seniors, but, we were facing a 50% cut in our budget. And if you look at, there's a couple facts up there. In 2020, our projected budget for year end is at $789,000. Roughly 75% of everything we do at the senior center services city residents. So of our entire budget, the support we now are getting from the city is 13% of our operational budget. Again, remember back to 2010, the city was providing 65% of our support. Typically, so on October 26th, during the mayor's budget workshop, it was proposed that 100% of all not-for-profit funding was cut. I have grave concerns about this. It was going to be to redirect folks and not-for-profits to CDBG. On the chart on the bottom, it talks about CDBG funding specifically for the senior center. So one of my major concerns on this is this disproportionately targets seniors. The city provides funding to the senior center in disproportionately than it does to other not-for-profits. And by cutting all not-for-profits, it's really hitting us more than anyone else. A proposed budget of a $52,000 cut by Commissioner Madigan as proposed to a $104,000 cut by the mayor's budget is a little different. I also, it sets a precedent. And as far as I can ever remember in this city, the city has always supported seniors. So by changing the structure, yes, it's COVID, but I'm really concerned about the precedent that it sets with the city's support. It's the first time that this would ever happen that I'm aware of. CDBG is pass-through money that comes through from the federal government. Since I've been there since 2010, we've applied many years for CDBG funding. And I can be corrected on this, but my understanding is there's roughly $350,000 to $400,000 that typically comes through on HUD monies. About $30,000 to $40,000 varies each year is for programming. And there's a lot of applications that come through to a volunteer advisory board that makes decisions about how this money gets spent. If you look across the history, we've applied many years and been frustrated many years by not getting support on this from this funding stream. I came up with $115,000 that we've asked for over the 10 years I've been here, and that we've got 34,000 of it, with 22 of that basically being this year. So for us and for the seniors of this community, I don't see how that could possibly be the way we can go for seniors. Sorry, Lisa, can we go one more?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. We have creatively, since I've been there, we are not trying to rely on the city funds to help to run this agency by any means. We have creatively raised money so that the city funds are only 13% of our operating budget right now. This comparison chart of 2019 and 2020 really looks at the other areas of things we've done. I personally started a corporate sponsorship program, and we get a lot of private dollars. If you look in 2019 to 2020, it's up 25%. So this year during COVID, we heavily relied upon our individual community members. That's our annual appeal, and that's corporate giving. City funding is the same, unchanged between 19 and 20. Our grants drastically went up. If there was money out there, we applied for them. And part of that is the CDBG money we applied for. Part of that is our PPP loan. That was $84,000. And then any other grants that we could get, we did apply for, and we continue to try to do that. But fundraising, as everybody knows, events and fundraising were near impossible. We did a virtual challenge. We did golf when we could do it. We tried everything we could do. And we did raise a decent amount of money, but we're still down 26%. We used to rent space in the senior center, but obviously that is down as well. Trips, programs, classes, membership, all of that has just been a totally different model. So in the last 10 years, we've increased our membership. We've increased our services. The demand has been there. And we as an agency have increased the revenue we've brought in to provide those services to our senior citizens, older Americans in this city, your constituents. Our food services in this past year have become absolutely critical to what we do. We've talked, many of the council members are aware, we're renegotiating our lease with the city on the building. Right now, the way it stands, I couldn't even bring the Office for the Aging back in to provide lunch programs to the city, to our seniors. And that is so critical. So I'm not asking other senior centers. So I think the last time I presented to the council, we talked about other senior centers. Every senior center out there that I am aware of is funded by their towns and cities. The bigger guys, I'll call, in the county are Clifton Park, Half Moon, Moreau. Those guys are also full-time senior centers. A lot of the small guys, Malta, Balls and Spa, they're open a couple days a month. I'm not even sure if many of them are open during COVID. We have stayed open. We are full-time. Those Half Moon and Clifton Park are 100% funded by their towns. Their building, their staff is paid by their towns. All of their programs are funded by their towns. We are by no means asking for that. We are just showing to you what we have done and where we continue to go and the help that we still need. So, sorry, Lise, could you go again? Another one? Thank you. We've talked about the growth of seniors. I think, it's not shocking to anybody to know it. When I first started in 2010, we used these demographics to for a lot of our grants. And back in 2010, I would be like, okay, by 2015, we're going to be 23% of our population. And 2025, it's going to get up to nearly 30% of our population. And this is county populations, but I also did comparison data for Saratoga Springs, and we are very comparable, if not a little higher. It's for these percentages in the past. So, we passed 2015. 2025 is right around the corner. Kind of speaks to how old I've been and how long I've been here. And so when we look at 2040, it's going to be a third of our population are going to be our seniors. When you look at the other chart on numbers, it's a double from 2015 to 2040, 54,000 to 108,000. the demand is not going to stop. The services are going to continue to be a need. And it's really important that we, as a city, still try to support that. I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration in our building. Our building that we're in right now, the senior center, has been in since 1972, I believe it was. And the history with that is that the Golden Age Club was started in 1955. They owned a building on West Circular Street. They sold that building and collaborated with the city and gave the money to the city from that sale. They also held a capital campaign to raise funds to build the current city center. It was named after Robert Gass, who worked for the city, because he was instrumental in bringing HUD money in to help match the funds that the senior center, as a not-for-profit, raised to build that building. In late 1980s, early 90s, a woman by the name of Margaret Kilmer left nearly $200,000 to the senior center. That money was turned over to the city, and in addition was put on the city, our Kilmer Room. Since I've been here in the last 10 years, there is at least $100,000 in private dollars I have brought in to help redo that building and bring it back up to speed. I would really like to give a shout out to Skip, because he's been an incredible partner. And when we call, they are very responsive. And so, there's been a significant history of the not-for-profit bringing money to this building. When I look at the mayor's budget, or I heard about it, it's really, I can't stress enough how much we still need to be a partner with the city. We want to partner. We don't want to ask the city to do it alone. We can't do it alone. We want to serve and support together. When we were evicted for 3 weeks during the pandemic, we still collaborated. We still cooperated. We wanted to work with the community, and we wanted to work with the city. I'm not asking for more money. Could we possibly flip to the next screen? Thanks. This is just more growth and show and expect. I can't imagine any of you sitting there are the ones that are going to raise your hand and say, sure, we want to cut the seniors. I get it's a tough year, but I do not want to see this council or our mayor change the way city funding and support goes to our senior center. It sets a precedent for your most vulnerable constituents in this community. The impact that any cuts will have in our services to seniors, we already know what is that going to do? That's going to cut services to seniors. You guys have a $45 million budget, and I know you're struggling with that. We're $100,000 of that budget. We are already hitting our community. We need to do creative. Everything I've done since I've been there is to try to be innovative and creative to raise funds so that we can be independent and we can try to support, and we're not constantly coming back to the city. But these are your constituents. And what would you do if we didn't exist? Because if we get cut, we're going to cut. And do we send them to the city? What do we do? We're not asking the city to be like Half Moon and Clifton Park and support your seniors unilaterally. We want to work together with you. And I thank you very, very much for your time. I thank you for all your efforts. And if anyone has any questions, I am happy to answer them. And I'm happy to also meet with anybody on this and talk and try to work it out and see where we can go from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Lois. I do have a couple of comments since then I look like the horrific mayor right here. I want to just say that I'm not. This is something that we are working very hard and diligently with. And I do feel that, you're not the only not-for-profit that was cut. We also serviced shelters and Center for the Family and Franklin Community Center. But I'm going to tell you that we have a budget deficit. And if I fund you, I lose 2 positions. That's 2 building inspectors gone. So that whole thing doesn't work in my budget. So I'm trying to save jobs at City Hall along with every other commissioner. It just so happens that the not-for-profits fall budget. I have never agreed with the process of the not-for-profits, and I've discussed this with Commissioner Madigan in the past. I think it should be a fair and equitable process. And I think that there's many not-for-profits that are out there doing great work that never get funded through the city. Never. I mean, they've never received a penny because they don't even know that this happens. So I think it would be nice if when we come out of COVID to make a fair and equitable application process for the not-for-profits so everybody can, you know, state their wellness for the city. I mean, Shelters of Saratoga does it, you know, their thing with the homeless. TSA does terrific work. Wellspring, Center for the Family. So we have a lot of these human social services not-for-profits, including the senior center, which is terrific. But I'm saving jobs in City Hall. You know, I have to do, you know, my idea. If the building department stops functioning because I only have, you know, 2 inspectors instead of 4, that slows the whole process up and it backs it up, and it just, the work doesn't get done. So that's the dilemma that we're all in, not just the mayor. Even, you know, the not-for-profits just fall into my department, but we're all in that dilemma of how to make this budget work. I have supported the senior center in the past, and I will continue to support the senior center, but it's all about how we can work through the pandemic. And that's all we're dealing with. So that's my only comments, you know, and if anybody, there are council members have comments, we can share them now if you'd like.
And can I ask, if I'm not sure the process here, so I don't know if I get to like speak again or answer any of your comments
Sure.
or address any of that?
Yeah,
Is that
this is
okay?
a dialogue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I hear you. I know you and I met when you were a deputy mayor, and you were pretty clear on your standing with the not-for-profits, and you know, that's a concern for me. I do think the seniors and the way senior centers are structured around the country, state, county, city, wherever, are a little bit different than some of the others. You know, cutting 104,000 will cut a whole lot more jobs than that for me, because we work pretty thin budget and margin lines. I also would just ask you to take a look at like a little ROI when we're talking, you know, I've worked human service and not-for-profit all my life. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, cut a different not-for-profit instead of me. I support all of them. We all, you know, it's great. But, you know, if you look at your ROI as far as what we are, what our budget is, how many seniors we fund, and how much you fund us. You know, I don't know if Shelters of Saratoga are serving 1,500 or 1,700 plus homeless. You know, it's a different model. So it's just disproportionate of what we get, and by cutting across the board, and that's a real concern to me. So that's the only answer I think I have for you.
Yeah, I agree. It is disproportionate throughout the whole process of all the not-for-profits. I think it is, you know, and I think that's what I'm trying to fix. I think it is. So I agree with you. Commissioner Madigan, you have something to say?
So, Lois, you always make a great presentation, and thanks for making yet another great presentation. I do think the senior center is different, and I do know that most communities throughout the country, you know, municipalities do, towns, villages try to support their senior center. I did reduce in the comprehensive budget that I produced. I don't know, there's an alternative budget out there. I have no idea. I wasn't given any expense information on this budget at all, just a bunch of jacked up revenues. You know, I cut all the nonprofits 60%, but I specifically cut you less at 50%. And I think that needs to stay in the budget. We don't have a process yet for nonprofits going forward. And you do serve our senior population, and you do serve them in a sort of public safety sort of way. And that's also very key. I have presented what I was calling an austerity budget, but clearly that has not been resonating well with the council. This is a pandemic budget. We are in a pandemic. Everything's been reduced. It is my goal to be able to amend the budget as we hopefully find out some good information as we go forward. We know that there's 2 potential vaccines out there. It's still probably going to be about 9 months before, they're fully implemented, activated. Everybody has the vaccine, maybe longer. I don't know. I'm following that closely. But I would not feel comfortable reducing your budget at this point in time more than it's already been reduced. And it would be my goal to actually refund some of your revenue. I can't do that now as we learn more about maybe potential fiscal aid or whatever might be coming down the pike. You also mentioned your lease. And you showed some really good statistics on how you raise money. And I'm not quite sure what's going on with the lease process. I did have one meeting a couple weeks back where I had inquired as to what was going on with the lease process. I think you need all the flexibility that you can get and should be allowed to keep raising money in any which way form you can, especially as we work through, this next year of pandemic austerity. I'm not really quite sure what's happening with the budget. I know that I'm completed my role with the comprehensive budget, and that's potentially the default budget that will be passed unless the council comes forward with this other budget that they have, and they have 3 votes for it. And so that will leave you with the $52,000, the 50% reduction, and not the 60% reduction that the other nonprofits have. And that's because you are taking care of our seniors. And I wanted to be able to show that we do care about our seniors. And yet I also like the mayor's proposal for looking at how to deal with the nonprofits in the future and a better plan for the community development block grant funding. But that's not guaranteed funding, right? That's a year in, year out process. Or maybe there's some other process that the mayor wants to put in. There's CDBG funding, but maybe there's some other process. But I know how it is to manage an operating budget, and you need to know or rely on the funding that you're going to get year in and year out. So I think that summarizes. I was taking a lot of notes. You need operating funds. You want to be creative, and you have been creative. You need to be more creative and be allowed to be creative with your rentals. And I think you need some flexibility in your lease to continue raising money. And it looks like you're doing a great job. And thanks for everything that you've done for our seniors in 2020.
Thank you. And I know we've been working with Vince on that lease, and we look forward to being able to work together, hopefully. And I mean, clearly the lease will continue. I don't think that's an issue. I don't want that to sound any different. So.
Yeah, Lois, and again, good presentation.
That wouldn't be me, Lois. So you can't blame me for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good presentation. I know
Yes,
we've talked.
Right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I know we've had meetings in regard to your, to the issues in regards to your fundraising and more flexibility in the lease. And I know Vince is working on the lease situation. But in one sense, the mayor's correct. I mean, we are all going through the same type of situation. And I think we're all concerned about how we're going to provide the services to the rest of the city. But having said that, the public hearing is still open, and we are looking at some other alternatives, and we can still keep an open dialogue, with you before we decide to do, whatever we decide to do with this budget, whether we do a comp budget, whether we do amendments to the budget, but that's all on the table now. So, maybe between now and the end of the month, we should meet again and have a discussion, and maybe there's something that we can, help you out with. Maybe I don't know how your fundraising is going. I don't know how any of that stuff is going, but if there's something we can do, to help out, I'm surely,
Well, I think you should meet with the mayor. I mean, you haven't met with me, you met with everybody else.
Okay, can I jump in for a minute?
Can I just
Oh,
respond to
crazy.
that, Meg? I sent you an email and a text to try to get together, but that I didn't get anything back on that. So I would love to sit,
I
with
didn't
Skip,
get it.
with Meg, with anybody.
Can
Happy
I jump
to.
in for a sec?
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank
I'm
you.
done.
So,
Yep.
I know there are a lot of variables here. I think that there's a lot of good things that are happening. I mean, I think the application process and making this equitable for nonprofits is a great thing and needs to happen. But for me, this comes down to like one very simple thing, and that's we're in the middle of a pandemic, and our seniors are the most vulnerable demographic in that pandemic. And I just cannot stomach the idea that I'm taking money away from our senior center in the middle of this pandemic where they're so at risk. It's just not, I just can't do that.
Well, Commissioner, you're making me sound like I'm the devil again, and I'm not. I'm trying to make my budget balance, and I think that if everybody else has things in their budget they want to give to me to put into that budget, I would be more than willing to take a little from everybody's budget.
So this isn't about me. This isn't about you. This is not about anyone on the council. This is about helping seniors. That's it. I'm not trying to make anyone look bad. I'm not talking about any other, this is about one simple thing. And that's helping seniors in the middle of a pandemic get the services and help that they need so that they can stay healthy. And, that's all it's about. So let's not make it about all this other stuff. Let's just focus on the service that's being provided to this demographic that really needs it. And so I am willing to continue this conversation in whatever way we can to come up with some creative ways to address this. But I'm just going on record and saying that I cannot in good conscience take money away from them in this moment in particular.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to jump in on this also. The city does subsidize, they are a not-for-profit. I mean, years before I started, not-for-profits like Saratoga Shakespeare used to get $10,000. There was money flowing all over the place. And then over the past 10 years or so, that money has diminished somewhat. But there's certain places that we just always have had subsidies go towards. And I think the Senior Citizen Center is right there on the top of the list of the most important. I mean, the city center, we give them below market leases. We help, for parking garages. We do all these other things. The homeless shelter, there was a lot of money for the homeless organizations last year. I think I'm kind of in agreement with most of the council on this also that, if there is a new budget coming forward or amendments or whatever, that this should be a very high priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I do. I have one more comment because I feel like, people are confused about how the budget works. This isn't supposed to be, looking myopically at just one individual department. I realize these funds sit in your budget, Mayor, just like contingency sits in my budget or other things sit in other people's budgets. But it really is all the revenue comes in and then the revenue gets distributed out. And so just maybe cutting all the nonprofits doesn't necessarily save 2 jobs in one person's department. If we started to look at the budget like that, then finance would have all of the money and nobody else would have any money because I bring in all the sales tax revenue and I bring in all the property tax revenue and I'm like manage all the major revenues. So,
maybe
I
you should
understand
have-
what your concern is, and for your people. And again, one of the reasons I like the comprehensive budget as proposed is that it does require a little bit of paying from everybody, but it's easily amendable with a plan to get us started for 2021. Reductions in salary are needed, but in terms of layoffs, there's really a delay on that to see what happens with the federal government, but you need a plan. I have memoed the council many times about some creative ideas, and maybe it's a 4-day work week for a while. Maybe it is a reduction in the salary, but I'm pretty confident that if we can get our hands wrapped around good austerity as we manage our way through this pandemic, we will go into 2022 restoring much of everything that has been cut back. And that would also include the senior center.
So I do have one suggestion then. Maybe we should put the not-for-profits into the finance department.
I don't really care where they sit as long as we are making sure we're,
doesn't do much in my department, then you could do whatever you want, I mean, that's
we
my
can do
solution.
that if that's what you want. It doesn't change, it doesn't change the status of layoffs
Then I know
within
what I'm
anybody's
working
department.
with, but I would know what I'm working with, the number. That's what I mean. If that number really isn't my number, then I shouldn't be in my budget. It should be in your budget because that's where all the money comes in. That's just what I'm saying. So
yeah, I mean, all the money does come in there.
comments.
It's been more symbolic of working, the mayor working with the nonprofits and distributing these funds. But
right.
I
just
I'm
don't
sure
think it's a fair
finance,
and equitable process. So I just don't think it's a fair and equitable process for everybody. And
I
agree
with you on that completely. I just don't think that's a reason to, I can't correlate those two reasons, but I agree with that.
I see it now because Commissioner Madigan says that doesn't save, if I cut the senior center, it doesn't save me anything. I'm just saying that it's looking at my budget, Commissioner. Okay, my budget includes her $104,000 or whatever.
Right.
I would like to redistribute that, but I'm being told that that's not how it works. So that is news to me.
It's not how it works.
That's news to me. And that's news to my deputy who's been working on this. So but
it's not news to your deputy because I know that she's had these discussions with Lynn, and Lynn has indicated that to your deputy, that it doesn't work that way. But you guys have an alternative plan for the budget, so feel free to submit it. What this plan calls for is a 10% reduction to our staffing levels. That's the cut you have in your budget. And if they don't want to take that 10% cut, then you have layoffs. But it's not, I'll get rid of the nonprofits and then I don't have layoffs. That's not the right kind of thinking, because this is a shared sacrifice budget, and the nonprofits have been cut and cut pretty significantly.
I just don't want the senior center to be the victim of our budget dispute right now. I just want to be able to focus on the seniors and kind of, if we could compartmentalize this a little bit.
Well, this is part of a budget workshop. That's why the budget's coming up. This presentation would have normally been made at a budget workshop, but we were unable to accommodate that with the mayor's budget workshop, which is why we're getting into a little bit of budget detail here, because we've got one, council member who wants them out of the budget. But I respect every council member's opinion here. I'm just trying to explain how I come at a budget, and that this particular budget, this pandemic budget, and it wasn't to say, okay, I'm just going to look at my budget and maybe I can save 2 jobs or not have a 10% reduction in salary. These things are across the board. That I have recommended. And it's not like everybody else is going to have a 10% reduction, but your one department's not going to. That would be too hard to do in the 2 larger departments, which is public safety and public works. And it was a way to also maintain some level of funding for our very important nonprofits, in particular the senior center. They do a lot of work for our elderly population. And as you did state, Commissioner Dalton, they are sort of the biggest at-risk population as a result of this pandemic that we are in and trying to find our way financially. So we're not trying to be it's just, we're all victims of this pandemic economy, basically.
I agree, but I'm optimistic that we all seem to think that this demographic in particular needs to be a priority, and we can talk about it moving forward and see what we can do.
Any other comments from the council? Thank you, Lois, for being here. We appreciate your work.
Thank you.
And we'll be talking soon.
Thank you so much. I'm
All right.
available.
Thank you.
I'm available to meet with anyone at any point. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Hang on one second. Okay, going back to my agenda. We did the consent agenda already, so we can move right on to the mayor's agenda. My first item is an appointment. Kathleen O'Connor is reappointed to the zoning board employed by NYSERDA and the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. Kathleen has been an adjunct professor at the University of Albany teaching graduate level classes. She received an MS from the University of California, Davis, and a BS and a BA from the University of Michigan. Kathleen's term runs from 1/1/2021 through 12/31/2022. My second item is an announcement. Mark Torpy, reappointment to the Planning Board. Mark Torpy has served for many years and is currently chair of the Planning Board. Mark's term runs from 1/1/2021 to 12/31/2027. My third item is an announcement. Shauna Jenks, reappointment to the Planning Board. She'll be serving a 2-year alternate appointment. Shauna is a partner in her family's business, Jenks Family Insurance Agency in Saratoga Springs. She is committed to seeing development of thoughtful and sustainable urban infill projects that promote walkability and community cohesion. A Saratoga native, Shauna first started working in the fields of planning and development in Galveston, Texas, where she participated in drafting and the adoption of the citywide recreation and parks master plan. She also oversaw large commercial and institutional developments projects for Landry Incorporated worldwide. Upon returning to Saratoga Springs, she played an integral part in the renovation and restoration of the historical Saratogian newspaper building on 20 Lake Avenue in Saratoga Springs as the director of operations. She is a member of the Performing Arts Junior Committee, class of 2019 leadership graduate, and holds a bachelor's in psychology from University of Sofia. Shauna's term runs from 12/31/2020 through 12/31/2022. My next item is another appointment. Jeff Ames will be reappointed to the Downtown Special Assessment District. Jeff has owned and operated Cantina on Broadway in Saratoga Springs since 2007. Throughout, Mr. Ames has been an active member within the Saratoga Springs business community. He has served on the Board of Trustees for Saratoga Regional YMCA, the Saratoga Hospital Foundation, and is currently a board member for the Downtown Special Assessment District and Jake's Help from Heaven. Since 2009, Mr. Ames has raised over $600,000 for the Saratoga Hospital Pediatric Emergency Department through an annual Cantina Kids Fun Run and has donated over $100,000 to a variety of local charities through the annual giving campaign, Cantina for a Cause. Mr. Ames lives in Saratoga Springs with his wife Heath and 2 children. Jeff's term runs from 1/1/2021 through 12/31/2025. My next item is another appointment. Jason Kelsey will be reappointed to the Planning Board. Jason Kelsey is a master plumber. He has served 4 years in the Marines. He has began working at Boyce and Drake in 2000 and has owned Boyce and Drake for the last 14 years. Jason holds a master plumbing's license in the city of Saratoga Springs. Jason's term runs from 11/17/2020 through 8/6/2023. My sixth item is another appointment. Michelle Roddy, appointed to the Complete Streets Advisory Committee. Michelle Roddy brings years of experience to the Complete Streets Advisory Board. Over the past 14 years, as a Saratoga Springs resident, Michelle Roddy has served on multiple boards. These include 6 years on the Saratoga County Citizens Committee for Mental Health, and she has recently completed 7 years as president of the Stonequest Resident Council. She has held various offices while serving on the boards from president to secretary. Michelle's term runs from 11/17/2020 to 11/16/2022. That's that. My next 3 items are agreements with NYSED, New York State Industries for the Disabled, for final phases of the record scanning project in the building department. Discussion and vote. Authorization for the mayor to sign this agreement with NYSED for building files in phase 4. The scope of this work for phase 4 is to scan 20 boxes of 4 small format active records at the cost of $6,200. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign agreement with NICID for the building department files, phase 4, as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign agreement with NICID for building files, phase 5. The scope of this work for phase 5 is to scan 22 boxes of large format maps and plans at the cost of $30,030. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign agreement with NICID for building department files, phase 5, as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter passes. Next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign agreement with NICID for building department files, phase 6. The scope of this work for phase 6 is to scan another 22 boxes of large format maps and plans at the cost of $30,030. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign agreement with NICID for building department files, phase 6, as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign addendum 9 between the city and Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner LLC for general land use services, legal services. This is an addendum to an agreement with Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner in the legal department, and is for general legal services on land use matters. The addendum extends the agreement through 2021 and increases the cap $10,000. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign addendum 9 between the city and Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner LLC for general land use legal services as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The matter passes. And now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Frank.
Thank you, Mayor. In order to go to your item number 11, I would have to do a discussion and vote to add an item to my agenda to extend a bid.
Okay.
I would like to move to add an item to my agenda for the extension of the bid for the Land Use Board Legal Counsel. That's a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm looking to do an award of bid, extension of bid for Land Use Board Legal Counsel to Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner LLC. I move to extend the bid for the Land Use Board Legal Counsel to Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner LLC for an additional year under the same terms, conditions, and prices as listed in the bid of 2018. And that's a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. My next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign renewal agreement between the city and Miller, Manick, Shackner, Hafner LLC for Land Use Board Legal Counsel. This is a renewal of agreement with Miller, Manick, Shackner, Hafner in the planning department for legal counsel to the Land Use Board. The renewal is for 2021 and establishes a cap on this agreement to $30,000. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign renewal agreement between the city and Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner LLC for the Land Use Board Legal Counsel as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to execute addendum 3 to the Visitor Centers Management Agreement. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city and Saratoga Convention and Tourism Bureau agreed to continue suspension of all operations, programming, and facility rentals at the center through and including December 31, 2021. The council may remember we approved an addendum 2 to suspend this agreement in June through the end of the year. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign addendum 3 to the visitor center management agreement as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign Workforce Housing Unit Deed 166 Jefferson Street, Unit 1. This will be the final workforce unit approved for sale of the 11 original Jefferson Street housing units secured by the city through a density bonus to developer Steve Ethier. The purchaser's household income is below 80% AMI as required by the deed covenants. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign Workforce Housing Unit Deed 166 Jefferson Street, Unit 1, as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter passes. My next item is discussion vote authorization for the mayor to sign contract with KS Engineering. The city of Saratoga Springs received a grant from Saratoga County to design and engineer a replacement trail bridge over Bog Meadow Brook on the Bog Meadow Trail. The current bridge is non-conforming to design standards of the Saratoga Greenbelt Trail, which outlines a minimum of 8-foot width. The 25-year-old structure is in need of replacement and rests on 3 old stone foundations remaining from the old trail line. The mayor's department, in coordination with DPW, has selected KS Engineering to engineer the replacement bridge based on their experience and understanding the scope of the project. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign the contract with KS Engineering as included with this agenda. This is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, Mayor. We need to award the bid first before we can vote on that. That's on Commissioner Frank's agenda.
Okay, sorry. We have another award bid there, Commissioner. Sorry.
Sorry,
Thank you,
I couldn't press the buttons fast enough.
That's okay.
Okay.
Number 4, award a bid, right?
I got so many, okay, so this will be item number 4 of my agenda.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
award a bid, final engineering to Bog Meadow Trail to KS Engineers PC. Upon the recommendation of the mayor's office, I move to award the final engineering Bog Meadow Trail bid to KS Engineers PC for the amount not to exceed $19,006, and that's a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. Thank you, Commissioner. Back over to my agenda. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign contract with KS Engineering as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. Thank you. That concludes my agenda. On to accounts.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is discussion and vote. Approve resolution to extend temporary outdoor seating areas to December 31st of this year, 2020. The temporary outdoor seating areas for the local restaurants continue to be a success. Therefore, we're looking to extend it yet again. I move for the city council to approve the extension of the temporary outdoor seating areas to December 31st, 2020, as included in the resolution attached to this agenda. And that's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Commissioner Frank, I have a question.
Yes.
How are we handling other people, that want to do things in the streets? Is that through this committee that was set up a while ago? Because I understand that there was a parklet or something that was requested over on Broadway. And I know I'm one of the departments that actually doesn't have anybody that sits on that committee. And I'm just wondering if it's going to be very active, if I should have someone, or if these things should come to the council. Is this tied into this a little bit? Yeah.
This falls under that would fall under chapter 136. It's no different than, it's a parklet per se, but it really isn't. It's no different than Henry Street, which is in a parking area. So it would fall under chapter 136. Obviously, we're open to, if you wanted a representative on that committee. but it would still be the 4 members because it did fall into the language, Chapter 136 that we put through in the spring of this year.
Yeah. It's
Okay, so that's, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, you go.
No, so that was built into the law.
That's
Is
correct.
that what you're saying?
That's correct.
This committee is built into the law. And so there's a process then for getting back in touch with those who ask for an extension out into the street or a parklet or whatever.
So this was specifically for outdoor dining. It was specific to
Okay.
outdoor dining.
Correct.
So-
The Chapter 136 relates to outdoor dining. Or it could be drinking establishment. It doesn't have to necessarily be food, drinking and eating licenses. In that instance, so if you were going to do a parklet, throughout all of Broadway or things like that, that would be a separate situation. The business or businesses that you were discussing, I think they did ask to have their permit reviewed, and it's last I knew was before the 4 members. And they would make the final determination on that.
I don't think
Yeah. And I think the only issue we have is obviously we live in the Northeast, and we do take the possibility of a snowstorm. And I did talk with Todd Simkus and Daryl Legeri, and they both agreed that if it became an issue, we just make a phone call to them. And then I think the businesses need to understand that snow removal is it's got to happen on those streets. And if it's an issue, then they would assist in removing the barricades, at least.
I just have one question about visibility. It's it's so dark so early now, and some of the streets that have this expanded outdoor dining, you really can't see the barriers at night. It's like a little dicey. Do we have any reflective tape or something we could put on the edges of those so drivers don't hit them by accident? Because I know for me, driving down Phyla is it's dicey.
That's a good idea.
I can discuss that. Maryland Rivers is one of the 4 members, and obviously we have public safety. So I don't think that would be a big deal to put reflective, or even, most of them have. At night when they are open, obviously they're pretty easily seen because now they have heaters and everything out there, and there's lights. But yeah, I think reflective tape, and along with the traffic department, we could work with them to assist on that. And right, we could have a snowstorm tomorrow night, and I don't disagree with Commissioner Scirocco. And I believe the one permit that is pending, and I don't want to speak for the person that's putting the permit in, was with the parklet. It was more to put the snow there so they could continue to use the yard area. That was my understanding. And we've also worked with the chamber and Commissioner Scirocco's department and Mary Masterson in my department's worked with Maryland Rivers to work with them to get these barriers out very quickly, to have them stored for the winter also. The Jersey barriers, though heavy, are easy enough to pick up with the rebar that's built into them, and so at no cost to the city.
Awesome. I think it's really exciting that we can keep the outdoor dining going. I know how vital it's been to the restaurants and bars, and I just think this is a great thing. So thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. The second item on my agenda is authorization for Mayor to sign change order 1 with Evergreen. This change order is for the contract increase from $52,718 to $58,218 due to the additional cost of repair to the 77th Regiment statue that was damaged earlier. This increase was preliminarily identified in the original estimate and was approved by our insurance company. The loss is covered by insurance with the exception of the city's $1,000 deductible, which comes out of the insurance reserve and is included in the budget amendment for the city council approval this evening on the finances, on Commissioner Finance's agenda. Commissioner Scirocco and his staff are overseeing the refurbishment of this statue. And thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the change order 1 with Evergreen as included with this agenda. And that's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just think it's great that the insurance company is covering for the most part, 100%. We've had a lot of phone calls from a lot of concerned citizens, and they were ready to open up their checkbook. The idea of the fact that, that this artifact is, in fact covered under insurance, I think that's a great thing. And kudos to your department for, making that happen, Commissioner.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, Maryland Rivers a couple of years back brought all this artwork in, as you know, as you were doing the casino a couple of years back, Commissioner. So I'd like to thank her again for getting this additional insurance over the past few years, and never thinking it would be this case, but we have had things happen in the park over the years, and statues, et cetera, being damaged. So it worked. As bad as it was, it did work out in this instance. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The matter passes.
The last item of my agenda this evening is an announcement. The Enhanced Star exemption income for 2021 just came out. So the Enhanced Star exemption income amount for 2021 has been raised to $90,550 to get the Enhanced Star. The exemption will be based on the 2019 income tax returns. Applications and instructions are available on the city website. And that concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is a discussion and vote for the 2020 finance policies and 2020 finance policy and procedure manual. These are two different manuals with similar names. Finance reviews all policies, and both manuals regularly pursuant to the city charter and annually pursuant to specific policies therein. Changes to the policy and procedure manual are nominal. They include updates to distinguish between long-term and short-term debt, short-term borrowing, tax anticipation notes, TANs, revenue anticipation notes, RANs, bond anticipation notes, BANs. Each must be repaid within 1 year of the borrow date. They may be renewed, but they must be retired after 5 years. Regarding the other changes regarding the recently enacted state law, which allows the transfer of funds from reserves during a state disaster emergency, but this also must be repaid within 5 years of borrowing at no less than 20% per year has to be refunded to these reserves. And we are borrowing from reserves also for this budget. And it looks like we're probably going to have to take out another TAN, depending on where you guys end up with revenues, for between $10 and $15 million before December 15th. And the IT department will bring forth its changes at a later date. I move that the City Council approve the 2020 finance policies and 2020 finance policy and procedure manual as included with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a discussion and vote insurance reserve. The city has received the insurance settlement for 211 Division Street in the total amount of $232,369.13. This claim is for damage to the DPW garage because of a fire occurring in, a couple years ago. And has long since been repaired with capital funds that can no longer be reimbursed. I am requesting that the council approve the use of $62,497.97 to replenish the insurance reserve, bringing its current total to about $120,000. My next item requests that the remainder be used to replenish the assignment for the refund of prior year's taxes. Both the insurance reserve and the assignment help to keep city property tax rates lower. Insurance deductibles and refunds on taxes due for assessment grievances are a known required funding requirement, but the amounts are difficult to estimate. Rather than taxing on an annual amount that is difficult to estimate, funds have been set aside to use as needed. I move that the City Council approve $62,497.97 from the 211 Division Street claim to replenish the city's insurance reserve as described with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Item number 3 is a discussion and vote assignment of fund balance for the refund of prior year's taxes. Again, I'm requesting that council approve the remainder of the funds received for the 211 Division Street claim in the amount of $169,871.16 to replenish the assignment for the refund of prior year's taxes. The assignment was reduced to $0 on May 18th, 2020 meeting in order to help rectify a cash flow situation due to the COVID-19 economy. The assignment will become increasingly important throughout 2021 and 2022 as commercial properties seek to revise assessments based on recently revised revenue collection, as is their right to do. I move that the City Council approve $169,871.16 from the 211 Division Street claim to replenish the city's assignment of fund balance for the refund of prior year's taxes as described with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 4 is a discussion and vote information security analyst. This is to request that the council join Civil Service, Human Resources, the CSEA City Hall Union, and the IT department in accepting the job description as well as the grade step that these bodies have researched and agreed upon. The position has been deemed an essential city position as a result of the constant threat of cyber hacks and attacks. The following is a quote from Nice Tech, a nonprofit consulting company on New York State contract. Malicious actors are using the COVID-19 remote work environment as a vulnerability to exploit system security. New York State local governments and city business partners have seen a surge in ransomware attacks. Although malicious actors have been exploiting software and operating system vulnerabilities for some time, these attacks have grown more devastating. No funds will be expended at this time. The title will be posted and the matter will be returned to council as soon as possible. If and when a current employee might be appointed, that employee's current position will not be backfilled. Funds are available in the 2020 and 2021 budgets. Please be aware, IT reports that there have been at least 5 notable security breaches within the last few months. Anything like this could shut the entire city down and cost substantial amounts of money and time to repair and recover from. The job title is Information Security Analyst. The job description is included with the agenda and the agreed upon CSEA City Hall Union starting salary that has been established as $61,912 in accordance with CSEA Salary Schedule 1/1/2020 is a grade 14 step 1. I move that the City Council approve the job specification for Information Security Analyst as included with the agenda at a grade 14 step 1 of the CSEA City Hall Union Contract Salary Schedule 1/1/20. This is a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
No. I do have, sorry, something to say.
Okay.
I'm confused about this. So we're creating a new job, but not filling it. It's a new position. I'm confused.
Yeah, it has to be posted.
The job is being created and it has to be posted and then people can apply for it.
But I thought we weren't, I thought we weren't adding any jobs or new people. I don't know how.
We are adding new jobs and new people at council approval. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get council to approve this position. And if you don't want to approve it, vote no for it. But it needs to be taken care of right now. We have a person working in this position out of salary and out of grade.
I understand that, but I have a hard time trying to fit this into whatever budget we're going to be passing because I don't know what that is. So I don't know.
Well, the budget would be a lot easier if maybe the 6 new firefighters that you hired had been let go 6 months ago. I'm here to discuss this position that is needed. We have a person working in this position. And, if you don't want to, this is at council approval. We are under attack. Patrick had to work all weekend long to try to plug and make sure that we didn't have a cyber attack this weekend. But I really don't care what you guys do with this position. It's like my 4th time bringing it. It's been approved in last year's budget. Just make your decision. There's nothing confusing here. We're establishing a title for a new position that we need to fill. I plan to move somebody into this position and not backfill their position.
It's confusing for me when there's a hiring freeze put out. This is confusing for me. And I don't
There is a
appreciate-
hiring freeze, and the hiring freeze states that at council approval, you can bring things forward. So I personally don't care, but honestly, if you're that worried about the budget, I think the 6 new firefighters who were hired like under the rim of the hiring freeze should have been let go a long time ago.
Well, thank you for letting me know. I really think it's not
You're welcome.
a great start to this conversation to start going after people's departments like that. I really don't think it's a spirit in which we should be discussing the budget. But thank you for
That is the spirit in which we are discussing the budget. You guys got together behind my back and conspired and put together a new budget. So don't expect anything different from me. Now, I need to create this position. You can vote for it or not. And
Well,
you
if
have
you
issues
care
in
about
your
it,
budget. And I would suggest that you get rid of the 6 new firefighters that you hired a few months ago so that you can make room for, your budget next year.
Well, I do care about my firefighters, and it sounds like you don't care about this position as much. So I probably will vote no for it. But
You go ahead.
Okay.
Any other
Commissioner,
discussion?
Yeah, just so I understand, this is a new position. It's going to be posted, but you have money in your budget to fill this position right now in the 2020 budget?
Yes, I do. Because I won't be backfilling the position.
So, okay, so that there's another, so that'll leave an opening. That'll leave an opening for a position in your department. So
Nope, that position will not be
assuming you're
backfilled.
gonna, yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna put a person in your department into this position. Is that
The position needs to be posted though, and everybody has a right to apply for it.
That's what I'm saying.
And, we'll take it from there.
It's competitive? It's competitive? Is that right? It's competitive?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I need some more time to digest this if you don't want a no vote, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like it really matters.
Digest it all you want. I bought this 3 or 4 times. I've been very good to your department. And really, honestly, I can't believe that every time I bring this position, which is a needed position, and frankly, we're going to lose the employee if it doesn't get approved tonight. And that's fine with me too. You guys can deal with the cybersecurity fallout of it all. And I will take my IT person from public safety and I will move them upstairs, and you will not have an IT person in public safety if that's the way we're going to play right now.
I think this is a really unfortunate way to be discussing the budget. And the reason I think
It's unfortunate that you guys all conspired behind my back and sent me an alternative budget.
Nobody conspired behind your back.
That's not conspiring.
That's not true.
Yes, you did.
That's not true. We asked you.
Look, I'm calling for the
vote. You have
vote.
refused to meet with us.
I'm done with this. I'm calling for the vote.
Okay, any other discussion about the topic at hand? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The matter passes.
Thank you. Let's see.
Number 5.
Item number
Commissioner.
5 is a discussion and vote approval of invoice number 1622 from Baker Public Relations, Inc. for the Mask Up Saratoga campaign and the amount of $275. This campaign was very successful. It came in well within budget, but we need another $275. So I move that the City Council approve the payment of invoice number 1622 from Baker Public Relations for the Mask Up Saratoga campaign in the amount of $275 for the network to pay Baker Public Relations. This is a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Let's see, the next items are budget transfers, payroll, lines 1 through 30, transfer general operating funds to reallocate various appropriations in the recreation department for new sports programs, public works for utilities, office supplies, equipment repairs, labor expenses in the amount of $10,799.31. Lines 32 through 34, transfer funds to cover DPW labor cost line from DPW non-labor appropriations in the total amount of $18,275. Lines 11 through 29, transfer funds among capital projects from general outlay to specific labor appropriations in the amount of $2,830.09. I move that the City Council approve budget transfers payroll as included with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes. Did you have something, Commissioner?
Nope. No.
Okay.
Item number
Go
7
ahead.
is a discussion about budgets, transfers, benefits. Lines 1 through 24, transfer general operating funds to reallocate various appropriations for benefits, including vision insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, HR admin fees, employee hospitalization insurance, opt-out payments, and associated Social Security in the total amount of $13,716.37. Lines 25 through 31, transfer funds to cover public safety appropriations for school crossing guards and sick leave payouts for employees who are separating from the city in the amount of $90,141. Lines 32 through 33, transfer funds for human resources, postage from hospitalization, insurance excess in the amount of $150. I move that the City Council approve budget transfers benefits as included with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Item number 8, discussion and vote, budget amendments, benefits, lines 1 through 5, amend revenue and expense lines to use revenue received over amounts budgeted to cover sick leave payouts for employees separating from City Hall in the total amount of $32,673.72. I move that the City Council approve the budget amendments, benefits as included with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
I'm not sure if people are actually weighing in, but these are not my budget transfers. These are for public safety primarily and DPW, and I'm only hearing like one eye. So
Yeah, I've been hearing them. I get them.
Okay.
I've been getting the
Item number
ayes,
9
yeah.
is a discussion and vote, budget amendments, payroll, lines 1 through 5, amend revenue and expense lines to use federal reimbursements for overtime to cover fire department overtime and Social Security expenditures in the total amount of $22,744.66. I move that the City Council approve the budget amendments, payroll as included with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. That completes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is, well, actually, one item on my agenda is a discussion and vote. This is approval to pay invoices number 212894 and number 213184 to Paletti Stone Corporation in the total amount of $3,852. These are the final 2 invoices with Paletti Stone for Katrina Trask concrete sidewalk at the south end of Congress Park. The Katrina Trask Gateway Restoration Project was completed last November and included a bid alternate for 1,600 feet of sidewalk. DPW opted to construct the new sidewalk in-house, resulting in credit back to the city of $40,000. Through the cost-saving measure, we are able to install an additional 5,400 square feet of walkway to completely encircle the south pond. The new sidewalk is just over 8 feet wide, and the concrete surface was finished to match the style of the Spirit of Life walkway to the north. The result is a smooth, durable, low-maintenance surface. Therefore, I move for approval to pay invoice number 212849, or excuse me, 212894 and 213184 in a total amount of $3,852 to Paletti Stone Corporation. I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
And I can,
Commissioner, is that it?
let me find my information on my phone here. I just want to give just a quick update on City Hall.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, hang on.
It's all right.
Yep. The building will remain closed to the public while we await test results for the greeter. Obviously, we had an issue with the greeter too. Anticipated date to reopen to the public will be next Monday, 11/23, and that depending on test results of the greeter, because there was some contact with her and the person that was tested positive. Again, city council members can bring back their employees to work in City Hall at their discretion. Starting tomorrow, 11/18, employees should utilize the Lake Avenue entrance to enter and leave the building. Again, it won't be open to the public. It'll just be open to City Hall employees. So,
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
Also, I was in contact with Saratoga Hospital today, talking to them about protocol. And even if our people come back with a negative test after 5 days, they are still to be quarantined for 14. So that is, there's a lot of miscommunication here. So they are out until November 25th. So that's where they can get back in the building. The list of people that were sent to the county.
Yeah.
So,
right.
people are thinking they get the negative test, they come back to work. They don't.
Yeah. And I just want to, just FYI, everybody's aware, City Court is open. They have their own person stationed at the doorway for the handicap ramp. They're screening people in and out of their,
Right.
their court.
Right. They're doing their own contact tracing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Can I just ask again that we be mindful of privacy when we're talking about the, a confirmed case in City Hall and testing and waiting for people to come back, please?
Did I say something?
Thank you. We're just identifying people who might be sick. We should be a little more mindful of how we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, there was quite a list that got tested. So I think that, going forward, though, we should have a protocol written down, because I'm sure that this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure, Council, who is taking that charge of writing the protocol? And does anybody have a handle on this?
So I know that the HR department and Maryland Rivers, I thought, were working together to do the stay-at-home policy and the COVID exposure policy. I believe.
So I'll check in with Maryland then and see.
Yeah, that, and I think it's a charge of HR too. So.
Okay, so that's great. Then I'll check in with them and I'll give them contact up at the hospital who they can talk to and see how they do things up there. So any other comments? Anything else, Commissioner Scirocco?
No, that concludes my agenda.
Thank you. On to Supervisor V.
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. I forgot you, Robin. You're right in the center of my screen.
All right.
Okay, on to Public Safety, Commissioner Dalton.
Thank you. The first item on my agenda is discussion and vote, amend Chapter 225 of the City Code, Section 225-77, Schedule 12, stop intersections. This is to add a four-way stop at the intersection of Buff Road and Moore Avenue and Westbury Drive. I make a motion to amend Chapter 225, Section 225-77 of the City Code to add the following: a stop sign on Buff Road, direction of travel, both at intersection of Moore Avenue and Westbury Drive. This is a motion.
For a second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The matter passes.
Excellent news for that neighborhood. Very glad to have that happen. The second item on my agenda is an announcement with COVID-19 information. And this is just, I've been getting a lot of feedback from people that they hear like drips and drabs of COVID, results from the county or, things from the school, but no one's really getting it all at once. So I'm going to try to just give a quick summary so people can hear what's going on all over. So we have 28 active cases in the city. There's no specific correlation between the active cases. Since the pandemic started, there's been over 1,600 active cases in the county. 226 of them are in the city. 20 deaths countywide, 1 in the city. The city and county rates run between 0.5% and 1.2% of number positives versus numbers tested in the county. Our region has been running between 1.9 and 2.3% positives versus number tested. Albany County has had significant increases almost daily that are running the numbers up for the capital region. That is true. The school district is doing very well. Since September 8th, they've had a total of 6 students test positive. 2 were in school learning and 4 were remote learners, so no contact with other students. They've had 0 staff or teachers test positive. I think this is remarkable, and our schools should be applauded for how well they're doing. The city's COVID-19 task force continues to work with the SLA and Saratoga County Public Health on all enforcement issues related to the city. The task force is also working with Saratoga Springs businesses as questions arise relating to the governor's executive orders. I applaud code enforcement. They did an amazing job getting the information out last Wednesday with the new 10 p.m. curfew. And our businesses, our bars have been incredible. They've really been doing a great job considering what an impact it's had on their business. So we kind of anticipated this in the fall. The weather was going to get cold. It was flu season. We thought that we were going to see an uptick in cases, and we are. I do think we're kind of in a perfect storm right now. Kids coming home from college for Thanksgiving and people getting together. So I just want to stress that we all, as tired as we are, as emotional as we are, as exhausted as we are with all of this, it's really not the moment to try to relax and loosen up and just party, because we all, have missed it. And so I really hope people are vigilant and safe, and we get through this as healthy as possible. The third item on my agenda is announcement, an update from the Community Outreach Committee. So as I think I put together a Community Outreach Committee back in August to address race and bias in our community through education, awareness, and culture. And I have a great group of people who are on this committee, lots of diversity in age and backgrounds, and they've tackled this issue with a commitment and passion that has just been incredible. And so I'm going to have probably the chairperson from the committee and someone on the committee come the next council meeting to discuss some of the initiatives that they're working on. Again, I've just been so impressed with what they've come up with, and I think the council will be pleased to hear about it as well. And then I have to add one item on my agenda. So can I make a motion to add an item?
Yes.
Okay, I'd make a motion to add an item to my agenda.
Usually you have to tell people what the item is that you're adding to the agenda.
An announcement about a letter of support with a drone technology company.
Sure, that's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 The matter passes. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. And I think, Lisa, I don't know if we can bring him in, but I think Adam.
Somebody's dinging. Can somebody turn that dinger off? I don't know who it is. So
it's me dinging on my computer, but if I turn it off, I mute myself.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that. So I was approached by a company called Big Rock Technologies that have a drone technology that was really fascinating, and they were looking for a host city to develop drone technology to use in fire and police departments. And sorry, it's dinging.
That's okay. You can't help it. Don't worry about it. Move it through.
And it was really exciting.
You can shut your texting off on your phone, on your computer, and it will stop the dinging.
Well, in the midst.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I don't think I can multitask that.
I can't hear anything. All I hear are a bunch of dings.
Anyone out there, stop texting me so I can finish my agenda.
There you go.
Okay. So I think this is really exciting because not only does it make police and fire operations more efficient, and but it really brings some incredible technology that you could use right now in the middle of the pandemic, where you could have a drone dropping off tests or medicine to neighborhoods and not risk exposure. But the drone technology itself has like a multitude of functions. But what was exciting about it is that they really, are looking forward to working with us specifically because they think we are the right spot to test this out and develop programs. And they're applying for a National Science Foundation grant. And I'm just really excited to be the test city for them. And I did want to see if Adam was on the Zoom call, if he wanted to jump in and say anything.
He's on. I see him. Yeah. Hi, Adam.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening.
We'd
You have
like to
anything to
thank
tell us?
Yeah, we do. We have some wonderful news. This year, we've had a big year as a company. We have qualified for the National Science Foundation grant for our no-touch aerial supply chain technology, which is basically drone to repository network building. Right now, we have been able to win the NATO Top 10 COVID solution, and it'll be this project that we're starting to bring here. This grant is a 3-phase grant that will spread over 3 years, and we would have this in 2022 in the area. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
I'm good.
I'm sorry, I missed a lot of what you just said because I wanted to get my headphones out of my ears.
Certainly.
Do you mind backing up a little bit?
Not at all.
What are you proposing?
We have qualified for a National Science Foundation grant. We would like to make Saratoga Springs our municipal test bed. This will be a 3-year project from innovation to market. We would like to build and manufacture the product at the end of the grant duration here in Saratoga County. I'm a resident of Glens Falls in Warren County, but I've been working with the SHG group in Saratoga Springs. And together we would like to bring this first part no-touch aero supply chain COVID solution down through the National Science Foundation grant.
And what's exciting, what I found so exciting about this was the private-public collaboration. I think is really spot on here, but it also brings great tech jobs to our city, which is something I think we are needing, and also makes our fire and police departments capable of so many incredible functionalities, and just we could really be the pioneers in using technology and working with public safety. And I just thought this was an incredible opportunity. And I'm looking forward to working with Adam and Big Rock. And
the first part of this grant would bring $1.5 million into the area if all 3 phases were done here in the county. And that would allow us to open up to bigger grant programs like the Smart City initiatives and the Smart New York tax abatement programs. So I think it could help us build a very robust innovations company here in this area where technology would be great to build upon. And the location of Saratoga Springs being so close to the eastern border of the drone corridor in Rome would be extremely helpful for our company as we grow.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Are we voting on a grant tonight?
No, we're not. I just wanted to let you all know that we we're signing this letter of intent to move forward so Adam and his company can apply for this grant, and we are signing on as the test city. Is that correct, Adam? Did I say that right?
That is correct. Oh, we would just love to be part of your city, and that's all that we are asking for.
And is there any matching portions from the city's purpose?
No, sir. This is a pure grant, and this is where we would like to prove ourselves in the area, and then perhaps in the future, once we're established, we will be able to work in partnership together.
Adam is very aware of our budget situation, and I would not bring anything that had a cost
like I said,
attached.
I live in Glens Falls, so I understand.
No, I understand. I don't have an issue per se. I always ask those questions. Yeah. A lot of times, even when I do my own grant, when we used to do grants, at least through our office, that's always just a common question if there's any matching things. And if it comes to the fruition, there would also be legal for the city would have to review it, insurance would have to review it. So there's these other things. I know this is like a preliminary type thing.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And there are stages. The first feasibility is 12 months, and that's just software and integration. So it's multi-phased and over a period of time. So it's not something that's going to be all at once upon us.
But we met with the fire and police departments who are very excited about this, and both gave it their full endorsement and are looking forward to developing things that will make us just cutting edge public safety here in upstate New York. So thank you, Adam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your time. So what are you actually requiring from the city? What is it?
At this time, just a letter of support that you would back us in this grant. That's one of the a municipal test bed is one of the qualifiers towards receiving the grant.
Okay.
And Roger and I have been here since 2018 working with the SEDC. So this has been quite a period to get here. So we really appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Yep, you too.
Thanks, Adam.
Anything else, Commissioner Dalton?
That completes my agenda. Thank you.
Okay, on to Supervisor Veach.
Thank you. First on my agenda is just to do a budget update from the county. The county budget was released on November 5th. In our process, we do several steps to get our budget passed. So the first is the release of the budget. Second is the Law and Finance Committee at the county provides their amendments to the budget. We have a budget workshop where all the supervisors have an opportunity. And then we have our public hearing after those amendments are put in. And then lastly is the adoption of the budget. So the budget that was released from Saratoga County was a $340 million budget released on November 5th. It contains no tax increase and using no fund balance for the added expenses. This budget does not break the tax revenue cap, which basically, with that, we still get about approximately $2 million in revenue through growth and assessed value in the county. The budget assumes a 2.5% decrease in sales tax for 2021. The budget does not assume any loss in occupancy tax and a slight reduction in VLT aid for the county. I will say that the county supervisors right now are having a pretty strong debate about the occupancy tax number. We're not in accordance with our county administrator on that one, that the occupancy tax is going to stay the same as 2020. So we haven't yet amended that to change anything on the revenue side. But we all saw what happened this year in Saratoga County with occupancy tax. And a lot of us don't believe that it's going to continue at the level of last year for next year. So stay tuned with that. There's still another opportunity to amend the budget before we're done. The second step was the Law and Finance Committee. They made several recommendations for personnel additions, which were moved to our workshop. Our budget workshop was held yesterday. We spent about 2.5 hours yesterday at our budget workshop discussing those positions with the full board. Most of those positions were created and approved, but some were not approved based on discussion. I felt it was a very good exercise for the county board to do that. We had our department heads actually come forward and justify their needs for positions, which really hasn't been done in the budget process at the county for quite a long time. So it was good to hear their input, and it was good to get input from the departments as to what they needed. So I thought that was a good thing within the budget. Additionally, we made some adjustments. The first was an additional $15,000 for our trails program. A lot of people have been using our trails this year throughout due to COVID and other things. They're getting outside and walking trails, and the condition of the Saratoga County trails definitely needs some improvement. So it was good to put that in the budget. We also had a discussion and approved $350,000 in IT upgrades for Saratoga County, mainly in the Board of Supervisors area and our boardroom, as well as our committee room. Which will finally, and I'm very happy about this, finally include video web streaming for the county, as well as improved AV here in the boardroom and a way to integrate our system to hopefully work well with our online. We use WebEx, not Zoom, for the county. We don't have any video, but having the AV, interconnect with the system like that will make things much better at the county. It's almost impossible to hear what goes on here at the board when we have a meeting if you're calling in. I don't know if any of you have called into any of the county meetings, but it's really
today. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, you can't hear anything when you call in because it's just really not set up for that. So while this is a next year budget item and it doesn't fix the immediate problem, it is good that we're finally putting something together for that. So I'm happy for that. We did approve $250,000 for Saratoga County Fair. That was brought by Supervisor Smith from the town of Galway. They recently demolished their grandstand, if you saw that in the press, and they need to now rebuild a new grandstand. And, I did not vote for that in the budget. I felt that it was a little bit too much on the expense side for the county to do. Additionally, I would just say, and not to take this, in any kind of a personal direction, but over the years, I've brought many, many proposals for not-for-profit organizations, economic development attractions for the city to get money from the county. And I don't think I've ever been approved by the Board of Supervisors for any of those requests over the years. So And mine were much, again, much smaller than $250,000. And to not want to put that money toward the city in those years, I just felt it wasn't appropriate to invest in the fair on that. I support the fair. I think they do a great job. It's a great economic driver for people in this county. And I'm kind of happy that they got the money, but at the end of the day, I just didn't think it was the right amount at the right time for that. So I did not vote for that, but it did go through. So it is going to be in our budget. I think we should also do a better job, of dealing with our not-for-profits as well, with putting money into our budget every year and having a grant program. I know that was kind of discussed a little bit here today at the city, but I think the county should do a similar thing where, we have money out there and then they can come to us on a competitive basis to get that money for economic development drivers and not-for-profit entities. So with that, I'll just say that the public hearing on the budget is scheduled for December 2nd at 4:30. Here at the boardrooms. I'm not sure that we're going to have a public allowed into that room yet. So we may have an online comment, period or online way to do comments, but we're unsure of opening the boardrooms here to the public at this point. I'll let you know if that changes. And then the budget vote is scheduled for December 9th at 4:45 p.m. here at the county. So that's the rest of that schedule. And that's that item. My second item.
Supervisor Beach, could I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
How much, you guys have a lot in fund balance, so if your revenues don't come in as projected, how much are you sitting on in fund balance?
Saratoga County has about $29 million in fund balance right now. So we're actually, with all of the budget amendments that we made, probably going to use about $2 million of that with the personnel changes and all those extra things that we put in the budget yesterday. Because our budget started at flat, no fund balance being used, but we just, we spent a bunch in that budget discussion, all necessary things that we have to do. So that'll probably put us around 27 or 26 million. And then, we'll have that if there's a revenue shortfall for next year, but we'll see. I mean, what happens. I'm supportive of the budget as it stands right now. So I wouldn't vote against it at this point. So with that, I'm going to pull my second item because Commissioner Dalton talked about it and it's on the other agenda item. So that's it for my agenda, and thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Gaston?
Thank you. The first item on my agenda, much like Commissioner Dalton spoke, COVID-19 continues to be on the rise in our community. There are 275 active cases in the county. And regrettably, I must report the 21st death of a county resident as a result of COVID-19. In general, Saratoga County is performing better than other counties around the state. However, this will only remain so if we continue following guidance such as on the Mask Up campaign and as has been distributed by the Public Health Department. I understand that the governor's executive order regarding limits on individuals in private residence has been a question. It is not a priority of the Sheriff's Department to enforce that. And if I might editorialize a little bit, I don't think it should be. I don't think that's where resources should be best placed. However, the Department of Public Health has requested that individuals, when making decisions regarding travel and gatherings, please consider the potential impact on yourself, your family, and your community, including considering the rate of COVID-19 where you are and where you will be traveling. The risk categories of those that you will be with, including employment, including whether they're involved in healthcare, age, and general health, and making sure that you are prepared to quarantine and or isolate as needed and appropriate. The county has worked very hard to make sure that individuals who need to isolate or quarantine have access to what they need. It would be much easier on the department if you are prepared in the event that that needs to happen. Water, food, medications, etc. As always, continued guidance, including testing locations, symptoms, travel, etc., is available at SaratogaCountyNY.gov or at 518-885-2276. And again, I would like to thank Commissioner Dalton and Chief Crooks for their continued support of the Public Health Department and assistance with quarantine notices and making sure that individuals are promptly notified. That was a big stretch for our Public Health Department and the Sheriff's Department, and their willingness to step up was extraordinarily helpful in being able to make sure that we can advise people of their risk quickly and appropriately.
Supervisor, can you answer a question on how long does it take once they get the list to get to the people to say you're quarantined, you know?
Unfortunately, that is an issue that can change depending on the particular situation. If there are other counties involved or who are lead in a particular case because of where the exposure or the particular case lives, it may have to move through them, or there may be a request of it. In general, it is the goal of public health when they are notified of a positive case to notify each individual on that day that they have been in contact with that case. That said, case investigation, depending on whether...
Can I just ask a question? Notify the individual, of course, knows that they're positive, but that individual then gives the list of contact people to the county? Is that what you're saying?
They would provide a list to whichever county is overseeing it, whether
right.
Saratoga.
I'm just talking Saratoga County. So Saratoga County receives a list.
Yes.
Right. And then in 24 hours, they hear from them?
In general, that is the goal. Case investigation can take some time depending on the particular situation. So I would not want to say that that is a definitive number, but in general, it is the goal to identify in that time.
Okay, I'm waiting, you know, I think that, I don't know if anybody that's on this list that we gave to the county has heard anything, but I just was wondering how long it took.
I think it depends on how busy they are. I mean, I don't know how I think it just depends. There's been like a large event where there's lots of possible infections and they just get overwhelmed. I mean, I would assume.
I don't know. I'm asking the question, that's all.
It can depend on the number of individuals. This particular case has some, the issues at City Hall have some uniqueness that I'm happy to talk about offline, but as Commissioner Dalton indicated earlier and on the request of Public Health, I would prefer not to discuss any personal information that may be relevant, but there is some, or in a public setting, but there is some that may pertain to any length of time. As always, if any individual has a concern that they may have been exposed or they should have been contacted and they were not, they can reach out to myself or Supervisor Beach, and we will make sure that Public Health contacts them as quickly as possible. The second item on my agenda is the 2021 county budget. Supervisor Beach went over most of it. I will say I also really appreciated the exercise yesterday. It was the first time in a long time I've seen the county look over a budget in that way. I think we should do that every year. I think that's the fiscally responsible thing to do. I am also hoping that, especially given the county's current deficit in technology, that we will be able to find an ability for individuals to speak at the public hearing in person. But obviously, that needs to be reviewed by Public Health, and we need to make sure there's a sufficient location for safety. I did propose yesterday at the budget workshop a public information officer position for the Board of Supervisors. That will be moved and discussed at a later hearing. I am working with the Director of Human Resources to develop a more formal proposal for that with step and class information, all of the human resources thing that I am not as much familiar with, but is needed for many of the supervisors. We're desiring of that to move forward. I think that currently we rely on each department to provide an individual who can provide share county information and departmental information or engage in crisis communication. I think particularly as we move forward with technological advances, and as we have seen as a result of COVID-19, a centralized messaging and support of departments is very, very much needed at the county. And I believe that we would be better suited to rely on a particular individual hired with the experience and qualifications necessary for that position. So I anticipate that position to be somewhere around $100,000, which again, as Supervisor Beach indicated, would be added to the budget, and that portion would come out of fund balance. Because as the budget is now, it stays within all the appropriate barriers. I encourage everyone to input comments and concerns regarding the budget as well. It is up on the county website, the proposed budget for anyone to view.
So
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, this is kind of arbitrary, but if they're doing a grant building a grandstand. I guess they are very optimistic that we're going to have crowds of people sitting together at the events, correct?
I voted against that item, as did Supervisor Veach. Part of my concern was one, maybe this was not the time to be moving forward with that, both from a fiscal perspective, but also a public health perspective. Honestly, the idea of building a grandstand built to support 1,500 people is a little frightening. I look forward to the day that we can do that again. I definitely support the fair, the history and the engagement. I would like people to go to the fair. I would like us to be separated and not in one grandstand, but I do support, and I'm happy that we're going to be able to help support them. Third item is a public forum this Thursday at November 19th at 6:30 p.m., excuse me. I will be holding a public forum via Facebook Live. I'm happy to discuss any issue of concern to residents, including the budget, personnel decisions, the public information officer, technology, any concerns that a resident may have, particularly as we look forward to planning for next year. As usual, individuals without Facebook accounts can still view the event and submit questions via text or email if they do not have a Facebook account. If there's a particular concern or question that an individual wants to make sure I have the answers for on Thursday, feel free to email me ahead of time to make sure that I can get any information I need from the county as necessary. The fourth item on my agenda, I am delighted to report that Saratoga County Board of Supervisors today has approved the appointment of City of Saratoga Springs resident Dr. Daniel Cools as Commissioner of Health for Saratoga County effective November 24th, 2020 for a term of 6 years. Dr. Cools has a very impressive resume, I think blew everyone away in the interviews, and he has experience as both a direct care provider and a public health official with a master's in public health. His previous work, he may still be working before he takes the helm, is with the New York State Department of Health in the Communicable Diseases Department. I truly appreciate the hard work, the continued hard work of our recently retired Director of Public Health, Kathy Duncan, as well as the Interim Director, Kathy Medic. I believe Dr. Cools is well placed to shepherd the department's expansion into a full services health department, which will take place over the next 2 years. And this will also lead to environmental services being performed by the county's Department of Health, which will ease our businesses, including in Saratoga Springs, in obtaining eating and certain health permits. I know sometimes going through the state Department of Health was a little bit difficulty. The fifth item on my agenda is an external review committee report. However, today was originally set to conclude the responsibilities of this committee. Other supervisors voted to move this to the December 15th, 2020 board meeting. So that will continue. This last item on my agenda is just a quick Board of Supervisors update. I'm thrilled that we have expanded our alternative work arrangement to all county departments, allowing department heads to determine what is best suited for them and their individual departments, including flex hours, et cetera. This will improve public health and ability to social distancing, as well as better place the county to respond to another crisis where individuals need to work from home for a period of time. Other than the Commissioner of Health, I am in support of a move to pause outside hiring and appointments for the county while we deal with a number of concerns at the Board of Supervisors and within the county as a whole. So I was in support of that and voted to table a director's position to the Prosperity Partnership while we undergo review of that. And the last Board of Supervisors update item is regrettably, some chaos at the board today meant that I was unable to present this, but I am very much looking forward to presenting a Women in Government program to be led by Saratoga County. And this is at the initiative of Human Resources Director Marcy McNamara, who noticed that I had an intern who has been working with me, a Saratoga Springs high school student. And we wanted to create the opportunity for students and teachers around the county to be able to engage in our county government, be more familiar with it. I think that's to the benefit of our entire county and will hopefully provide some individuals who will be excited about joining government later.
It's so fun.
Yes. But I was very happy, and this will actually be a no-cost initiative for the county. We will be working with the New York State Association of Counties, should this pass, which already has this curriculum and program and has already been an incredible support of women in government. And I'm thrilled to put that forward and hope that it passes. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other business from the council?
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to mention one quick thing. I have to say that the KPM restoration went into City Hall on Sunday night around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they did some sanitizing, disinfection. So I just wanted to mention that, as far as the
right. Yeah, that was a deep cleaning by them, so that was good. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
Commissioner Frank, do you have something?
Yeah, there was some good news. ESPN was watching tonight's show here, and they're going to have me as a basketball commentator because of my cool headphones. Thank you.
You do look very professional.
The kids during the meeting came in with extra ones, so I will supply the next city council meeting if it goes in.
Wait, we need a referee. That's what we need.
I was going to call the live action, but I held back.
He's really do it the county, Commissioner Frank.
All right.
Nice evening.
Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you.
All right.
Public Affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.